Hey everybody, so welcome back to my channel, and I'm so glad that you found your way here. And we're going to do a deep dive into these American elections. And as always, it's a show. It's an absolute show, and we're going to see what's coming out of it. So I did do a previous video on Trump. I didn't post it because something changed in the meantime. What changed is that Biden actually stepped back, so which is fantastic. The man really needs to be at home with family and friends at this time and just enjoying this stage of his life. But Biden does represent a certain demographic that late stage Gen Xers, millennials, um, generation alphas, crystal kids, whatever you want to call them, that Generation Z, sorry, and alphas, I guess, by extension, are having an issue with, and it's this generation that just won't let up. And they've made their money, they've done everything they could possibly do, and they still want to determine what's coming after. They still want to set their mark in this world and not allow others to set their mark instead of them, and holding on to positions and things that they should be releasing and letting go of at this time in their life. And it's not about, because we need an elderly generation. We absolutely do. As elders, not as the ones to give us advice, as the ones to point out solutions that we maybe didn't think about, to remind us of things, to teach us things, but to actually go through things. It's now on this current generation, the previous generation, to these elders. But honestly, I think there should be an age limit for politicians. I really do. It's otherwise just insane. Like, it's just madness. And yeah, so I won't dive in too much deeper into my personal opinion. This is going to be a very objective read, you guys. So I'm not going to let you know what my personal leaning is, even though you might guess from watching all my previous videos. But I'll just say as the cards come and as it's flowing to me to speak. I really want to be as neutral as possible, like reading the weather map, So whatever you interpret into this is your interpretation. You can let me know in the comments below, but it won't be that, I don't know, polarized of a reading. Okay, so don't expect that. I'm just looking for information here. Okay, so yeah, so I did a previous video on Trump, and I'm going to do a deeper dive into this. So if you guys want to check it out, you can check out the deeper dive, where we're also looking into names such as J.D. Vance and his wife Usha, Pete Buttigieg, and if he's going to be Kamala Harris's VP pick. If you guys remember a couple of videos ago, not the last video, but the one previous and prior, I did state that the energy and the feeling I was picking up and getting was a female president. I also mentioned it in a video last year that a female president is now probably going to be the next pick, just the way things roll out, the way things are unfolding, how the energy is manifesting. And honestly, before I dive into the objective reading, a Harris-Buttigieg duo is probably going to be a picture of sanity compared to Trump and Vance. I can't see a lot of people going for that. Like, it's entertaining, it's world WWE style and all of that. And people are going to love it and they're going to eat it up, and it's show business. But that's exactly it. There is a demographic that doesn't want show business in their politics, that really take their politics seriously, that realize that these have ramifications on their real life experiences, such as schooling, education, travel, taxes, you name it, garbage, right? So they're not about the showmanship. And I think, honestly, I'm picking up that the majority of people, they're willing to say, okay, this era of a certain demographic leading our nation into doom has come to an end, and they're going to want to try it differently. They're going to want to try a more feminine approach. Now, Buttigieg, as we know, his orientation is right up the alley, of course, of this new generation and what they want to see as their leadership. It's definitely going to be a powerful duo with Kamala Harris and her dual heritage, or triple heritage, if you want to see it like that, because she is the African American and she's got the Indian. She's got, she's coming from the Caribbean originally, or her background, but she's American, right? So she has all these heritages. And then you've got Pete Buttigieg, who's coming from the LGBTQ plus community, right? So it's, I would put my poker chips on that one more than on the Trump Vance. Okay. So anyways, let's get into this and this very objective reading and see what's going on. So the first thing that I looked at in the other video that I did, and I'm just going to rehash that, is, you know, this, first of all, who is Trump, right? How do people around him see him or perceive him right now? And then the second thing, and the interesting thing is that I also think timelines have shifted. Through this event in Pennsylvania with Trump and the shooter, a timeline shift was initiated. Remember that timeline shift whenever something occurs, right? We make a decision on something, we choose actively a pathway. And there was an active pathway chosen that day, which shifted the timeline, which led to the timeline of Biden now stepping down, which led to the timeline we're now on. So there's not just one timeline that we're writing down. That used to be back in the day, but those days are over. And it feels like they are doing all the time timeline shifts now, which is making it really hard for us readers. So let's have a look. Who is Trump, please? Who is Trump? Who is Trump? Who is Trump? How do others see him? How he sees himself? How only others see him? And how spirit sees him. So Trump right now, how everyone sees him, he's carrying a heavy burden, okay? So the people around him that are close to him, they see him as carrying this momentous, heavy burden, and him putting this burden on his back. It may seem that like he bit off more than he could chew, but he's never going to admit that. He's never going to admit that. How he sees himself is he sees himself as ferrying us to a new time or new shores or a new experience. He sees himself as the ferryman. I would literally say that. He doesn't see himself as sitting in the boat. He sees himself as the ferryman to a new experience. But he's also learning by doing. Like, this is someone he wasn't trained for this. He wasn't, you know, a lot of people underestimated him in 2016. And he's learning on the fly. He's picking up the game on the fly. And that's part of the fun for him, is that he's learning this game on the fly. Now, others also see him as the devil. Like, there's, this came up in the last reading as well, that there's something very, very, very manipulative about him. There's something very toxic about him. There's something very, they do see him as overstepping boundaries and probably being in the wrong place at the wrong time, right? Usurping, taking someone else's throne. That's also what the devil can represent. It can also represent material success, right? Seen in a positive light. But in this energy of asking, how do those closest to him see him? And he doesn't see this aspect about himself, but they do. They literally think he's very Luciferic. Okay, they do think that he's doing a lot of things that aren't kosher, that aren't okay. How does spirit see him? As a novice soul. This is someone who hasn't been around, even though, you know, he's seemingly, the way he's running things and everything, it looks like he's been around forever and for ages and is coming back around again. And, you know, but actually spirit is saying this is a novice soul, and he's playing with the material elements. He's playing with the material realms. He's just learning. So was this event in Pennsylvania staged? There's a lot of, you know, there are divided opinions and feelings around what happened in Pennsylvania to Trump. And there's some divided energies there where they're feeling, whoa, there's so many discrepancies to the story that just don't add up. Like, was it staged? And I did pull the cards in the last video. Let's see if they show up with the same answer. Was this event staged? Whoopa. There's definitely a planning element in it, but no, it wasn't staged. So this was a hermit, a lone person with mental instabilities and issues. Post-traumatic stress could be, like the Five of Swords can represent a lot of these things, right? So mental health, mental instability, but a lone planning with a hermit, and Four of Cups is usually a no, okay? And so it's saying that this wasn't a staged event, but it was a pre-planned event. And it was also planned by Trump in the sense that he rehearsed several things. There were rehearsals for him, how to exit, how to duck and run and hide, who to listen to, who to focus in on as the lead person if something happened to him, things of that nature. He would have trained for this. But that he turned his head in the nick of time, that was whew, that's like, okay, he turned his head in the nick of time. Was this a trust move or was no? This is where the timeline switch happened. He was meant to die. Okay. He was meant to die. This man was meant to be assassinated and he was meant to die. The timeline switched when that didn't happen. Okay. The timeline switched when that didn't happen. So several psychics have picked up on that, not all, but several. And there has been a number of people that have commented on the timeline switching, but he was meant to die. This is not just an intention. The intention is enough with Knight of Swords or even with the Five of Swords that we saw before. But the Ten of Swords is absolute. That is the death card. So those of you wondering, is the death card in the tarot? No, it's not. The death card, the literal death card, is just a card of transformation and change. And the actual death card is the Ten of Swords. So no, he was meant to die. And in a different timeline, he also died. In a different timeline, he did pass away. But on this one that we're now on, he clearly survived. And thankfully, because I don't wish anything evil on anyone, and not that death is evil. We need to move away from that as well. But, a shortened experience or a controlled experience, controlled through someone else's hands, or experiencing something he's not meant to experience. But who am I to say that? I don't know. I take it back. Whatever's right for us and the universe in its highest expression and the most good. I hope for that. And but yeah, this is definitely a he was meant to pass away. Okay. So that's that. Now let's move on to the actual question. Is Trump going to win this election? Is there going to be a President Trump round 2? Is there going to be a President Trump round 2? Is Trump going to win this election? What's going to happen? Is he going to win? We've got slow plotting. The Knight of Pentacles in my deck is usually a no. We've got the Five of Pentacles, again, a no, rejection and abandonment. The Emperor card is what's holding him back. So what's stopping him from actually winning is what is actually allowing him to be in that position in the first place, his position of power, his position of being up there, being one of the elites, if you will. And this is actually what's holding him back. Now, I know there's a lot of news and a lot of people saying, oh, he's one of us and we're Trumpers, and it's become a cult, yeah. But what's really holding him back is his position in the world with the quiet voters, the silent voters, the ones that don't really say anything or speak up. They're not too much of a fan of his heritage, his background, his standing. They're sick and tired of seeing this energy in leadership. And so this is what's blocking him. Knight of Pentacles is a very blocked kind of energy, even though he's a hard worker, but also his old days in real estate, because the Pentacles have to do with real estate, right? So some of the things he did there that people still remember, okay? And the Five of Pentacles, him coming to a financial impasse in the near future. Finances are going to be he's going to be doing a lot of things. You'll see him do a lot of projects and stuff like that. And he'll make it seem like, oh, he's really passionate about it, but it's actually to refill his coffers. Yeah. But Five of Pentacles, it's a no. It's an abandonment. It's a rejection. It's a releasing. Okay. So I keep saying that, you guys, and I'm sticking with it. And even if he does get voted in, it shouldn't have happened. It's then we switch timelines again to something that shouldn't be, but he's not meant to be in this cycle. He was meant as a band-aid in the last cycle by the powers that be. But his time is now up and he needs to be working on something else. He needs to be somewhere else. But he's gotten a taste of that power, right? He's gotten a taste of that headiness. Like Trump loves power. He loves drinking from that cup. He loves sitting at those tables and being a mover and a shaker and somebody who's got something to say and being a part of all that. And he can't let that go. He's fighting for it. But he's not meant for that. And that's where he was saved by spirit, aliens, I don't know. But when you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and you're not meant to be somewhere, things happen, things happen. And that's part of the timeline of the assassination was he was not, or the wanted to be by that person. He's not meant to be in this position. Now, I'm not saying that that was a punishment or a karma, so don't twist my words here. It's just a natural flow or alignment of the universe. Like you're not supposed to be standing on an Autobahn or on a highway, right? In the middle of just standing randomly in the road. Obviously, if you're standing there, then cars are going to drive and things happen, right? So things could happen. They don't have to, but they could. And so it's the same thing here. He's standing in a place where he's not supposed to be. So things are going to continue to keep happening with him and little things, So let's see here. Who is JD Vance? JD Vance. And we're going to have a look at Kamala and Buttigieg over on and I hope I pronounce his last name right, over on Patreon. That's where you're going to get the extended version. We're going to have a look at how that's going to work out. I do have a strong feeling that Buttigieg is the best bet for VP pick, but we'll see who they actually pick. And but right now it seems to be a clear one. I there are some other options, but that would be, I don't think it would be really good for them to explore those. So let's see here. JD Vance, right? And JD is not that much of a hit as Trump thought, and the Republican Party thought he would be, because JD switched up on people, and he switched up a couple times. He switched from Democrat to Republican. He switched up on Trump. He switched, so it's okay to change your mind, but people then tend to think you're kind of flaky, right? So there's that. There's this general aura or atmosphere around him that he's a little bit untrustworthy, just that teeny tiny bit. And he may be the most trustworthy person, but that aura is already there. It's already tainted. So let's have a look. And there's something about his wife that people are picking up on. They can't really put their finger on it, but something's up. So they kind of see her as this, what do you call it? This victim of his ambitions, maybe, of his desires, but I don't know. She's a driving force in that family, believe me. So in any case, JD Vance, he's got the Hierophant here. So this is someone, everybody sees him as somebody who tries to do things. He's not the most original person. He's not a novel person. He takes old concepts and ideas and he tries to run with it and tries to become an authority on it. He's a little bit authoritarian as well. So the people that know him closely, they know that he's a little bit of a dictator. What I find interesting is against Ahriman, right? And Rudolf Steiner saying that the Ahrimanic age, which we're now breaking into, we're building the foundations for what will become a full-blown Ahrimanic age, which is in essence a totalitarian system, a dictatorship totalitarian system that will run this planet. We just moved through the Luciferic stage, then we moved through the Christian age, now we're moving through the Ahrimanic age, and then we'll have to liberate ourselves from that. But he's saying that it's rising out of the American Midwest. Well, where is JD Vance from? And he is an authoritarian, he has authoritarian leanings. Then we've got the Five of Cups. He's seeing himself as actually someone who's pretty disappointed with the whole game. I think he went into this a little bit naive, a little bit into politics, and now that he's seeing the way things run and the way things are actually done, but he's already in it, there's a little bit of disappointment here. And I also feel that the promises were made to him, maybe by institutions or authorities that he looked up to, that haven't come through, or that he was disappointed in. Now, how others see him is he really has a happy family life. He's got a stable, happy family life. His wife fully supports him. They're fully there for him. Also, the rest of his family. He's coming from a wholesome, cookies and milk background here. And it's very important to him as well. How spirit sees him. This is interesting. I was just speaking about Ahrimanic energy, and here we have this card, the devil, in the Ahrimanic energy in the spirit position. So this is what spirit sees, the other side of things, the other side of the veil, what we don't see yet, what's coming out and what's coming through. So I don't think we've seen the last of JD Vance, to be honest, in a position of leadership. Even if he doesn't make it with Trump on this ticket, he'll definitely be back in 2028. Yeah. Until then, he's going to be doing various things that are going to keep his name relevant, but he is definitely one to keep an eye on, 100% for sure. Let's have a look at Usha, his wife, who I do feel is a strong role in the background. Usha, who is Usha, please? Usha, and how do others see her? And we've got here the Queen of Swords. This is someone who's highly intelligent, analytical, is able to, what do you call it? Divide the wheat from the chaff, who's able to analyze, who's able to see the truth of things and see through to the heart of things, who's also someone who's used to being by herself, who's used to doing things by herself, excellent, clear communicator, cool-headed person, cool-headed woman, doesn't allow her emotions to run the show, but she does feel there's a little bit of a loneliness vibe to her. She's been doing a lot on her own. But she doesn't mind that, this is just the price you pay. This is what you do if you want certain things in life. How she sees herself is she would want to walk away from this all. She really would want to drop it all and run and hide and find her 9 cups somewhere else. There have been issues in this marriage, yeah, and where she has said she's almost walked away before. They've kept it so under wraps, but there have been issues in this marriage, and there are things that were said or done that caused her to be this Queen of Swords energy. Here we have the Emperor. People see her like a rock. She is the foundation on which this all rests. And how Spirit sees her as the Ace of Wands. She is high energy, high vibe, very creative, inspirational. She's actually very sparky and spunky. She's got a lot of life in her, a lot of energy in her, but we see her like throttling it down with the Queen of Swords. She's got a bright light. She could do a lot. She could outshine him. She also appears smarter than him, more intelligent than him. So she's going to play it a little bit slower and lower and stay behind him to not overshadow him. Okay. All right, you guys, so that's what's coming up for now, and we're going to keep doing these readings right on up through to November. Okay, so as the timelines shift and change, as the pull and push of this event happens, we'll keep checking in for new updates and see what's coming up. And I remember seeing an astrology reading, and it was on my channel by an astrologer that was working with me at the time. She did a reading on Kamala Harris several years ago, and she stated that Kamala would become president because it's in her chart. And at the time, a lot of people were like, oh, no, because they were thinking of 2016. That's around then when she did the reading. No, she did 2017, 18, or was it 20? Yeah. Must have been 19, no, 2019, around there for the 2020 elections. And would Kamala become president? Would she even run for presidency at that time? It was, we were wondering who are the Democrats going to pick. And it came up that she was going to be president in her chart. So unfortunately, I don't have that video anymore on my channel, but I just wanted to put that out there. But I do see a female president, you guys. I do. And I do see a decision to break with the past, to break with the old style of structuring leadership that Trump does represent. Okay. Alrighty, so I will see you over on Patreon to get a deeper dive into Kamala, but also into Pete Buttigieg, and see if he's going to be her VP pick or if there's somebody else that's in the running. Take care, y'all. Bye.